EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen, inching closer to that Week 8 matchup, and then following that will be the Eagles' bye week. But a big one coming up here versus the New York Football Giants, another divisional game. Johnny Mack, how you doing on this Thursday morning, brother?
Doing well. Happy BJ Edgecombe Day for those who celebrate.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch the game last night. I got
some positivity with that organization.
Yeah, we'll see how.
Didn't we have? By the way, didn't we have a bunch of Ace Bailey people? Didn't we have?
Yeah,
you can't take BJ.
Brian Pumper was an Ace Bailey guy.
Was he? Yeah, that figures.
A minute into the show today, we're talking about Brian Pumper. I can't believe it.
That's not good. Yeah, that was an impressive.
Yeah, I missed the game last night. I'm gonna rewatch. I'm gonna watch you. I'll watch a little bit of the highlights.
Well, there's good and there's bad. He looked phenomenal. Joel looked absolutely cooked from a physical perspective, which is not good long term because obviously they're able to get a win and they beat Boston on the road, but Boston's not Boston because Tatum's hurt. So they're not the typical Boston Celtics, but it was. Just from that organization's taken some hits, obviously, and to get somebody with that kind of upside, they usually don't make the right decision. It looks like they finally made it. I don't know if they can screw that kid up. That's how good he is. And that's a high bar for me because I don't have a lot of respect for that organization.
I know you don't. John, do I commit to the Sixers this year? I
would. Yeah, I feel like basketball.
And once I started watching them in the beginning of the season, I committed. I watched almost as many of the games as I could. I didn't know if I was going to commit to the Sixers. I'm like, it's Eagle season. I'm busy. I got a lot of work going on. Last night I was out, so I didn't have a chance to see the game. All right, if John's telling me to commit to the Sixers, then
well, I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching that kid develop. And like I said, I don't think they could screw it up. Now injuries, with their luck, maybe that comes into it. But yeah, he looks like he's the real deal. Third all time debut in scoring, and that's not everything, obviously. Boston has a shaky backcourt when it comes to defense, so I wouldn't expect that every night, but it was really, really impressive.
Wow, 44 or 34 points last night for VJ Edgecombe. They win the game by 1 point. Wow, good stuff for the Philadelphia 76ers. John, when I was growing up, that was my favorite team, man. The Sixers were my team.
Same here. That's why I people ask, well, who do you like? Who do you like? And I covered basketball and I got to cover the Sixers. And that's why I always say, don't cover the team you like, because now I can't stand them. But, the Julius Erving Sixers is what that's my favorite team ever, basically.
Yeah, you and my pop both. My pop loved all those old Sixer teams. And then my pop told me, I've told this story in the air before. I think I was in high school or the end of high school or college or at some point. And Dad, we got Embiid, we got Ben Simmons. He's like, that was the stupidest thing in the world, tanking and going through the process. And he's like, watch the Celtics. They never tanked and they're in the playoffs again. And I'm like, nah, you're wrong. We're going to win a title with Embiid and Simmons and Markelle Fultz. And he turned out to be right, John, and that I wasn't happy about that.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of angst from that era, and I think a lot of people who bought into it have a difficult time admitting that the damage it did. Again, we were talking off air about the Eagles, and about off the field stuff. Like, that stuff matters off the court in basketball.
Oh yeah.
If you build a culture around losing and just, treat players as commodities and what they did for all those years, it manifests itself and you become what you, it's almost like, I think Sam's biggest problem was he didn't see the human side of it. Like everything was, well, if I if I draft at the top of the draft high enough, I'm just going to collect a bunch of good players, and they're going to have the right mindset. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff. A little Sixers talk to start today. Last night, a good backcourt. John Maxey dropped 40 last night, so they got a good backcourt working. We'll see how Embiid fares throughout the year. And he only had 20 minutes and 4 points last night.
Wow. You didn't watch the game. I mean, forget about the numbers. The numbers were terrible. He couldn't even jump. He could.
No, I thought I saw social media clips a couple weeks ago of him looking okay in an exhibition.
Well, it's one. With his history, some days he feels good. Some days he doesn't feel good. He was not feeling good. They didn't leave. I believe, and I came in late, and people in the chat can correct me. I believe I heard he didn't even take the opening jump, the tip, because he wasn't jumping.
Oof, man, that is.
And if you can't move, I mean, why is he out there? Number one. Right. But it was pretty ugly from that standpoint. So it's not all positive, but
a good backcourt is something exciting. We haven't had a great 1-2 backcourt in a while there. So let's see what those guys can do. John, you've officially got me on board in a 6-minute conversation. We'll see what the Sixers do. I don't know when their next game is, but I'm definitely going to watch it. John, let's get into some of our Eagles talk today, brother, on Birds 365. I want to welcome everybody in today. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. I want to thank all the people who've been watching over on Facebook and all the other platforms that we're streaming to now. So big thanks to all of you guys for your love, support, and just showing love to the show as it continues to grow. So we appreciate that. Johnny Mac, Wednesday in Eagles land, when you're on a normal game week with a Sunday game, is always the biggest day of the week, as you always say. How was it yesterday, J Mac? You were down there basically all day. I'm sure you didn't get home till maybe the start of that Sixers game. It's always a long day over there. What happened yesterday at the NovaCare Complex for the Birds?
Yeah, a lot goes on Wednesdays. Locker room, a lot of guys talk. Jalen Hurts talks. Nick Sirianni talks. There's practice. Things pop up in practice. A.J. Brown, his hamstring.
Yeah. What do you make of that, by the way, the hammy?
Well, he didn't talk because he wasn't in the locker room, because injured players don't have to be in the locker room. So there's no sort of, the first thing I want to know is it the same hamstring that he hurt over the summer?
Right.
Which I don't know, because it kind of popped up. But, we always talk about it. One of the things I was surprised Quinyon Mitchell played in Minnesota, because hamstrings are generally an issue. But there's different levels, obviously. And there's different grades. And if you have a really bad hamstring, nobody's playing, obviously, certainly a corner or wide receiver. All indications are, they're managing AJ to get to the game. So I don't think it's serious, but anytime that pops up with those positions, it's a concern, because it can linger. And this would be a perfect example of that if this is the same hamstring that he hurt over the summer. But still need to get some clarity on what happened, where he got hurt, things like that. But from all whispers, he is expected to play. And we'll see how he can open up, so to speak, at that particular position.
No reason to speculate on any skullduggery there, is there? I mean, look, you know how it goes around the league. Sometimes when players get hurt this time of the year with the trade deadline, teams are shocked. I'm not saying that's happening with AJ. I just want you to give me.
No, they're not trading AJ. I mean, just from what that question will be opened up in the offseason, because I do think that's more of a possibility now. And latest. Jalen Hurts had to talk about the latest Instagram post. And he did a good job deflecting it. But, I do think that is at least something to discuss in the offseason. But, I mean, the cap implications in season are just, it's not
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask because when other people sit out, look, Dominique says, there you go, Xander, Philly media it up. Well, Dominique, when any other player sits out at this time of the year, when Trey Hendrickson is injured at this time of the year, everyone's like, oh, it's because they're trading him. You got Diana Rossini, who's tweeting every week about potential, people calling Eagles. I'm just throwing it out there to get clarity, my friend. Relax, Dabney. All right. So we'll see that if AJ, I assume he'll be good to go. Who else was on the injury report there yesterday? It doesn't look like Cam Jurgens is going to play this weekend.
No, Cam wasn't even at practice, so he was DNP. And Wednesday, because of the way they structure practice now, all we get to watch is stretching, so we don't even get to watch individual drills, at least over the past couple of weeks, the way they've structured practice, which is basically to get us the hell out of there. I'm sorry, Eagles, but obviously that's the case. Now, today we'll get to see some individuals, and we'll get to see who's working at center, whether it's Landon Dickerson, who spoke, or Brett Toth, most likely. Drew Kendall, outside chance. I doubt it, but
I was thinking Drew Kendall until I realized you're not going to put a rookie in there versus Dexter Lawrence, his first game.
No.
I mean, that would be a nightmare for Drew. And he might be a great player, but that's a tough first outing in the NFL.
That is, but that's not the reason why. I mean, I just think they're more comfortable. Like, if he's got to play, he's got to play. I mean, that's the NFL.
Yeah.
But I don't think they think he's ready. But the guys who missed were AJ Adoree, who's in the concussion protocol. So it'll be difficult for him to get through that in a week. So it might be a Kaylee Ringo game. Now, they did start the 21-day practice window, Jacorian Bennett, so they could always activate him. He could be involved by Sunday.
Was he moving around out there yesterday?
Yeah, he was practicing. Limited, but he was practicing. So Cam missed. Aziz with the hamstring missed. Vic has already said he doesn't expect to have him. So Brandon obviously spoke yesterday. That was the biggest part of the day. Should have mentioned that, but they seem to be ramping up him for Green Bay after the bye. Now, hey, if he proves he can give them 10 or 15 snaps, they can activate him and put him on the 53 as well. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. with the ankle, he left early against Minnesota. Now, he was out there watching, but wasn't able to practice, so he's probably a little bit closer than Cam or Aziz or Adoree. So we'll keep an eye on him Thursday and Friday. And then the limited guys were Bennett coming back. Calcaterra, who missed last week, was limited. Landon's limited as they try to get him through ankle, back, knee, constant. He said a lot of interesting things yesterday that we'll talk about. Dallas Goedert's back on the injury report with a calf. But he was limited. Moro Jomo with the shoulder, he kind of banged up. He was limited. And Brandon was a full practice, and obviously that's not injury related, but he's just coming back, and he's got that 2-week exemption before they have to put him on the 53. So he's on the injury report, but he was a full participant. So a little bit longer than it has been in recent weeks, the first injury report of the week.
Yeah, so we'll see who's out there. We got a 1 p.m. game at home this week, obviously, versus the New York Giants. It's Kelly Green week, as you can tell. Jalen Hurts was donning a pretty sweet Kelly Green Eagle jacket at his presser yesterday, which was pretty cool. So good stuff there. His response to the AJ thing obviously made some rounds. It was pretty funny. John, at center, though, who do you think should play? Do you think they should go Dickerson and put Toth at guard?
I do, because I think Toth is better at left guard than he is at center, and I think Landon is equally good at each. Now, the problem with Landon is he also said he's probably 70 or 75%.
Yeah.
And he said, and that's not based off a typical person's view of 100%. That's based off, and I quote, my 100% off where I can be at this time. So and he also said, his recent surgery was his 13th. So this is some of the stuff we were talking about when we came on. I think when a lot of fans see players on the field, they assume, all right, they're ready to go, and there's nothing wrong with them. And so many guys play through difficult situations, Landon being the most notable. And you've seen the downtick in play. I mean, this has been one of the best left guards and guards in football. And he's just not healthy. But he's better than the alternative, and he's tough, and he's willing to play. So he plays. And that'll be the case this week. But he is not healthy. And I think that alone explains some of the run problem issues. Because Cam is in that category as well. He's not healthy. And now he's got, he's dealing with the back. Like Cam Jurgens coming back from off-season surgery. Now you add the knee problem on top of it. And this is, when you look at the bad seasons recently, whether, if you look at Doug's last season and say what went wrong, well, a lot of things went wrong. But number one was they were just crippled on the offensive line.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember it well. That was a big part of the reason, man. That was a big part of the reason they collapsed that year.
Yeah. I would argue the biggest.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
I mean, when you're not healthy up front, especially when you're as good as they are up front, and then you see the downtick, and that's where people overrate. And I hate to use that word because I don't think Jeff Stoutland is overrated, but that's where people the assumption that Jeff Stoutland can turn backups into
right. He can't.
Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens. It's just not.
Well, and it's also a bigger fall in Philly because our offensive line is so good. Like if you're a middle of the pack O line and you lose some guys, you're already probably used to prevailing, through some adversity up there. When your offensive line's as good as the Eagles, you start all the way up here. So when they get hurt, you got to come down further, which is just the nature of the beast when you have such a good offensive line like the Eagles do. We'll see, John. They are banged up right now. I'll tell you what, that's my biggest concern on the year is how healthy can the O-line be consistently throughout the season this year. I mean, we're in week 8 now. We're going into week 8. Ugh. A lot of injuries on that O-line, man.
Yeah. And it's obviously a difficult position to get through, but you've seen, the most notable over the years is when they've lost Lane Johnson, how things kind of fall apart. Luckily, he's doing well. Jordan's doing well. So you have some positives, but I think that more than when you talk about the running game, which is confounding how poor it's been considering the talent involved. I think that has to be reason number one, just health of the offensive line. I mean, we always talk about the passing game and what the passing game should be. I mean, they have Saquon Barkley, the reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year, coming off a 2,000-yard season, and an offensive line with Pro Bowlers and all pros all over the place, and they're 30th in the NFL in rushing.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
It's and this is a team that ran the ball. Forget about Saquon. They ran the ball effectively with Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift, who are good players, but not great players.
The numbers are the numbers, but you don't think they're kind of keeping Barkley's workload low, do you? I mean, it's not that low. He's still getting carries, but I guess the average yard per carry is what it is, which is not a pretty number, not a good number.
I don't think at all. I mean, circumstances limited some of the touches in recent weeks, but they don't even play anybody else. I mean, they don't even use anybody else.
I know. One carry for Tank Bigsby last week. I think he should be running back too, by the way, but I said that when we traded for him.
Well, I mean, he's got to prove. Number one, this team is very ball security. That's been one of the issues.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So he's got to prove he can do that behind the scenes and is getting better behind the scenes. But they haven't really used AJ Dillon. They didn't use, Will got hurt, but they haven't used him since he came back. and Tank got one carry and it was effective, and they didn't go back to him. They're not even using anybody else in the backfield. So I can't say they're trying to limit Saquon's touches.
Yeah, it's more circumstantial with the way the games have gone. They haven't been able to get out big leads and kind of run to the finish like they were able to last year. We'll see what they end up doing there, John. I feel like this is a week where Saquon could get going, but part of me is just because I feel like he's got to get going once. I mean, we're going into the
kind of what I kind of thought of what I thought last week. I'm like,
right.
Well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen there because they're not good against the run, and they don't even their usual mindset is not even focused that much on the run, and they didn't get it going. They got it going early for like a very small period, and then it just stopped. And I don't know how many tackles for losses there were by Minnesota by quite a bit.
I think it was 8. The number was 8.
And he's getting hit before. Last year was crazy. He almost had 4 yards. I think it was 3.8 or 3.9 yards per carry before contact. Think about that.
That is insane. Now he's not even averaging that full run.
Yeah, exactly. So there's only so much you can do. And he made a nice play, Saquon, on that one, which should have been, if they had 8, they should have had 9 because he was dead to rights about 4 yards into the backfield. And he made a spin move and turned it into a 3 or 4 yard gain. So he still looks like he's got juice. So many strange things with this team this year. Very strange team.
Yeah, I mean they're middle of the road, but they're John, there's one thing that you can't take away from this team. They do have an amazing knack to win football games. I mean, somebody sent me some stat. I think it was my boy Curtis. If you're in the chat, appreciate you, brother. And he's like, who do you believe in more right now, the Seahawks or the Eagles? And I'm like, well, I believe in the Eagles more because they've proven it. And he's like, all right, well, here's a stat for you. The Seahawks have 2,450 yards for them and 2,050 yards against. The Eagles have 2,000 yards for and 2,500 yards against. It's like the worst differential of any of the winning teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I brought that up. The history of the league, when you get outgained every week, and that's what the Eagles have done, they're 0 for 7, is not good because it indicates over a longer time, and it's still relatively short sample size, but once you get to 17, it is a good indicator. And the number was 96 coming into last week, and only 5 of those teams made the playoffs. None of them made the Super Bowl. But if you ask me that same question, who do I trust more, the Eagles or the Seahawks? I'm going to say the Eagles.
Me too.
I'm going to say the Eagles because they do have this long history of winning. But there are some troubling signs. It's fair to point that out. Like, people don't want to hear that and put their baby ears on. There is some that is a troubling issue when you get outgained each week. Every week, right, consistently. That's troubling. And that will come up to bite you at some point if you don't fix things. And they've gotten a little bit better offensively. The passing game is now better than the running game. Who saw that coming? Again, based off one tremendous performance. So I don't know how much you can take from it, but yeah, they're not as dominating, to say the least, as they were last year. But they did a nice job on the road last week. They can get to all they have to do is do what they always do, and that's beat the New York Giants at Lincoln Financial Field. I think they've won 12 straight against the Giants at Lincoln Financial Field. And they're in the bye week at 6-2, which is pretty good.
Yeah. John, I know this is going to be a speculation by you. I'm going to ask you to speculate, and this can certainly change, so don't take it as a report, anybody, or anything like that. Who do you think will not play in the game this weekend? Cam, probably, right?
I don't think Cam is playing. I don't think Aziz is playing. I don't think Adoree is playing. I think AJ is playing. I think they will activate Jacorian Bennett without Adoree Jackson. Calcaterra should be back. Landon's going to play. Didn't catch up with Dallas. I assume he's going to play, and they're just managing him. And same with Morrow. But so the three guys, I would.
Was Morrow the one who took the big hit at the end versus ring? It was friendly fire. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was Morrow, right? Yeah, that was Morrow.
Yeah.
That looked kind of nasty when it happened.
Yeah, that's football. Oof, yeah. But Adoree, Cam, Aziz are the three I would say pretty guaranteed to be ruled out by Friday.
Well, Aziz brings me right to our edge rusher conversation. Brandon Graham was in the locker room, John, for the first time yesterday. It's always a good sight, at least for a fan, to see Brandon Graham back in the locker room. I saw the media swarming his locker before he even got there after practice. They were ready to go. What'd you make of Brandon Graham's first day back at the NovaCare complex, John, as an Eagle?
Well, I mean, from the energy standpoint and all that kind of stuff, I mean, great guy to have around. So all of that is positive. Look, I've been honest. I don't think it's a positive development for the Philadelphia Eagles that they had to call Brandon Graham out of retirement. That means a lot of things went wrong. But, they're in the situation they're in. And I think when he gets up to speed, whether that's this week or after the bye against Green Bay, he'll be able to give them 15, 20 snaps early and hopefully build from there. And I think those 15 or 20 snaps will be better than the ones they have been getting from that sort of, if you look at it from that mindset. But overall, I don't think it's a positive sign that they've had to go down this route. And I don't think it should stop Howie from going and trying to get a more meaningful addition by November 4th. But as far as it's the best dude I've ever covered. I say it all the time. All of that is a positive. And I think it's good for this team because the defensive front is so young to begin with. And, to have somebody who's seen it all, done it all, understands what it takes to get to the highest level. I think that's always a positive for those that are around Brandon Graham. And I always go back to what Nick said, every workplace needs a Brandon Graham. So they got a Brandon Graham back in the workplace. But he's a 37-year-old edge rusher. So on the field, I think 15, 20 snaps and go from there.
Yeah, I think you're right on with the number of snaps. I don't know if it's the optimistic Eagle fan in me coming back out, but I feel like Brandon Graham is going to, again, he's 37. I'm not expecting him to change the room and change the complexion of the defense. I think he's going to be a good player in his 15, 20 snaps. He's been a good player his entire career. And I think he's going to be a solid player out there. Better than what you got when you had Ojulari on the field, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if that's going to be true, but that's just my feeling right now. I don't think Brandon Graham.
I agree with that. He's gonna give you those. So if you want to take those 15, 20 snaps, whatever it is, before he got here, those will be better because he is here. But the point is, they need more than that at that position. And if Howie and by the way, I'm not trying to say Howie looks at this and says, all right, we're done, because I think he's going to try to acquire an edge rusher. I think this team needs more if they want to go where they want to go. And we all know where they want to go. I think they need more at that position.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they do, John. I do want to have a look today at some of the possible trade candidates. I know we've talked about a couple of them, but really, where does it make the most sense? I think there are some good names out there. A lot of people talk about Trey Hendrickson, John, and I don't know what it is about that. I'm not. By the way, here's the thing that turns me off on it too. it also just doesn't seem like a Howie move. You're going to trade a second round pick, a premium asset, for a 30-year-old edge rusher that's making a bunch of money that you're going to have to also pay or lose after the year. That just doesn't sound Howie Roseman to me at all.
Well, I don't think Cincinnati's trading him now because
Me
they think
neither.
Joe Flacco's saving the season, and maybe he does because it's a crap. It's turned. That was supposed to be a good division. We all thought it was going to be a good division, Baltimore stinks which is shocking.
Yeah, it's interesting right now, man. It is weak.
A lot of bad teams. Cleveland stinks, obviously. Now Cincinnati, we all thought would be certainly playoff level with Joe Burrow, but they stink now. And Pittsburgh is running, but they lost, and all of a sudden Cincinnati wins, so they think they're back in it with Joe Flacco. So I don't think they're trading him. Number one. Number two, to your point, makes too much money. I don't know where you got the second round. I don't think he would fetch a second round pick, but that's just
Well,
me.
I thought I saw somewhere that the comp pick for losing him would be a third.
Well, most likely, but your comp picks, you're projecting future contracts. So, first of all, you have to be playing the comp pick game, which Cincinnati probably would in that instance. So, yes, I mean, the most you're going to get is a third round pick. You can't go higher than that. So, in theory, if he gets the contract commensurate with his ability and they play it the right way and don't sign more free agents than they lose, eligible free agents, they'd get a comp pick that way. The Eagles, in this instance, if they acquired them. But do they want to play the comp pick game next year? There's a lot of things that factor into it. But most notably, I don't even think he's not a fit. I don't think he fits with Vic. He makes too much money, and I don't think Cincinnati's going to trade him. So, a lot of hurdles there.
Yeah. How realistic are the other names that we're hearing right now all over the news? Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. How realistic, in your opinion, are some of those guys? Or should we be looking more like like an Arnold Ebiketie or something like that? Like, where are you on what you think the Eagles might be, at least in the game for?
Well, I think Miami makes a lot of sense because
Right.
one, they stink.
Yeah.
They have a coach who's probably on his way out, maybe a GM who's on his way out. And they have to do something to create some excitement, I would say. And there's talk that everybody's on the block, even Minka Fitzpatrick, somebody like that. So but I think a lot of that is just you look at teams who are falling apart and say, well, they might as well get some draft picks for the next coach and GM. And Miami fits that category. Then you go down another layer, and Vic has history being down in Miami for that 1 year. And then you go down. So he knows Phillips, he knows Chubb. And I think, people forget that Miami defense was pretty good until those guys got hurt.
Right.
And they had to pick up edge rushers off the street for the playoffs. So he has history. And then if you want to peel back another layer, Chubb, he had a history with dating back to Denver. So he likes him a lot. We know that. So if they're willing to trade, which is again the biggest hurdle, those guys would make a lot of sense. Chubb more than even Phillips, but both of them. And then the other stuff is pure speculation. Like Jermaine Johnson, New York, Ebiketie, who I brought up a lot dating back to the offseason, he looked like a guy because they drafted a bunch of edge rushers. So
I think James Pierce is actually having a decent start to his career so far.
Yeah, so it seems to be a luxury. But I again, I don't even know if they're willing to trade him. The Miami stuff looks like it matches up the best. And Chubb would be the one that I think Vic would like. But and that's a good player, not having a great year. I don't know if anybody's having a great year.
You said Chubb would be the one he'd like over Phillips. Is that what you said? I missed it. Sorry.
I think because he has a long history. That's just speculation. You
Right.
know, he was in Denver when
He's
when they
coming
had
off
him.
an injury, right, John? He had an injury last
Yeah,
year.
they're both injury prone. That's another problem. They both had a lot of injuries. So that factors into it as well. Good pass rusher. Not great, but good. And I mean, you know, if they pulled off a deal for either of those guys, they're probably the best pass rusher in the building than the moment they step into it.
Yeah, just like Zadarius Smith kind of was when he got here. Maybe not the best, but he was up there. John, what do you think the compensation would be for a guy like Bradley Chubb?
Not that much. I have to look at his contract, but it's pretty significant.
Like, is it a third round pick? Is that too rich? Is it a
That's
fifth
too
round pick?
rich.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
figured that.
I would start with 4. But you know, and they have plenty of picks. But no, at his age and his number, you don't have to give up a third round pick. But you know, there's so many hurdles that go to it. Number one, though, is I think a lot of people inflate what has to go back because they don't look at the contract. And he's got a pretty significant contract, so that lowers what you need to send back. Again, there's guarantee Miami's moving on from Mike McDaniel. I think there's a pretty good chance they're moving on from Chris Greer as well. So, you know, does a new regime want a 30, 31-year? He's going to be 30 next year. Do they want a 30-year-old edge rusher who's had some injury history? Probably not. So, in theory, that matches up. That checks off as many boxes as you could possibly check off. As far as would Miami be willing to move on? That's as close as you get to all the boxes that you could possibly check.
Yeah, so we'll see about if they make a move there or if one of those guys come to fruition. John, what about corner? A lot of people are talking about a corner trade. I never thought they were going to do a corner trade in season, kind of based on our conversation. You know, they made their move with Bennett, whether it worked or not. Do you think they would look for another corner trade at this point in the year?
I don't think so. You know, I heard Howie say, you know, we consider that position a strength, a position of strength, which I think shocked people. And it has to do with Cooper and Quinion, obviously. And he's got a point when you think about it logically. You know, how many teams in the NFL have 2 corners like that? Not many. So I think they think they could piecemeal it together. A lot of it probably, you know, they're probably a little bit disappointed that that they haven't gotten a full evaluation of Jacorian Bennett, and they're probably not going to, even if he gets on the field this week. There's not enough time before November 4th, so you have to trust your evaluation there. We've seen Keeley, we've seen Adoree. They're not playing great, but I think you could piecemeal it together. And then simply because I think the names you've seen, they're just not good players. So you know,
Yeah, I mean,
I think,
Rick Woolen keeps like that name is everywhere. You know, you see that all over the place.
my God, I mean, turn on a Seattle game. There's a reason for that.
You've never been a Rick Woolen.
Well, I mean, you know, he got. You know, he got benched for Josh Jobe. Now, Witherspoon, he's played a lot of snaps.
Wait, real quick. Everybody remembers Josh Jobe, right? Okay, good. He was in Philadelphia before he was there.
Witherspoon has been banged up. I don't know. Is he back? I don't know if he's back or not, but he's a great player. Devin Witherspoon is your young corner. He's a great player.
Very good player.
Reek was actually pretty good early in his career, and then people kind of figured him out. He doesn't have good ball skills. He's very big. He's very tall. He's very lengthy. But he just has bad ball skills, and he's not fast enough. That size comes at a premium to pay, and you could take advantage of some things on the outside. I'm trying to look where he is real quick. 101 of 112 corners. Oof. That's where he's right. So you be careful what you wish for. Yeah, that's all I would say about that player.
Yeah, there is some other corners that are speculated to be maybe moved. You know how it is at this time. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but there's also, some people who put out names that could get moved. I saw Cam Taylor-Britt, who's a corner for the Bengals, who maybe could potentially get moved. Roger McCreary, cornerback from the Titans. I saw Michael Carter, the second from the Jets. I saw Alante Taylor, corner from the Saints. That one I think is a little bit more out there, but we'll see. We'll see if the Eagles make a move at any of those positions there, John. Going to be interesting to see how they address it. John, do you think this is fair to say? Howie's trade deadline moves could give an indication on what he thinks of the 2025 Eagles, or do you not view it like that?
Well, no, because number one, I always say it takes two to tango. So he might be trying really hard to do something that you'll never even know about, or you won't know about it for months down the line. So the assumption that it's one of the biggest fallacies, the assumption that whatever move he makes is what the goal was. What I would be very surprised if he doesn't make a move because he just likes making moves. But the assumption that he's not working on things that don't come to fruition is probably, one of the biggest misconceptions I think out there.
He could have been trying to trade for one of these guys before he signed BG.
Yeah.
Probably will, to be honest.
All the machinations behind the scenes. They were talking to Brandon early, then they went to Za'Darius, then they go back to Brandon. And I'm sorry, I got a little throat problem going on. But it's there's a lot of stuff that doesn't come to fruition. And that to me is the strength of Howie Roseman, and always is the strength of Howie Roseman is contingencies. Like so many times you don't get what you want and you have to pivot, and he does that better than anybody, whether it's the draft or the trade market or things like that. So the assumption that he's got like 10 balls in the air and maybe one lands, and it might be not the one he really wants, but he's just trying to improve the football team.
Yep, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Appreciate everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button on the show this morning. Plenty of stuff to talk about as we get ready now for Week 8 matchup, Eagles versus Giants. We will go to some Super Chats today. We have an opened up show, so anybody who wants to check in with Super Chat, Super Chats will go to the top if you got questions for J-Mac or any of those things. Let's go to Caesar right now, who joins in. Caesar says, just as an opinion, might be absolutely wrong, aren't we all, Caesar, sometimes? But he's not 27 BG anymore, and that's fine. He's 2025 BG, the mentor, the closer, the culture keeper. Every contender, yes, still have faith, needs one. We're definitely still a contender, Caesar. You don't need to maintain faith in that. I think we definitely are still a contender.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously he's not the 2017 Brandon. I mean, that's just the way of the world. But he's a rotational player now. That back then he was, it was him and Fletch. That was it. That's what the defense was built on. For many years, I would tell people, back when we had conference calls with the opposing coaches, and it was always, and it was an offensive guy. All they talked about was 91 and 55, 91 and 55, for many years. That's what people game plan for against the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Obviously, he's coming back as a rotational player. He was a rotational player last year. That's what happens when you're 36 and 37. The fact that he's still out there and playing on a level of 37 is amazing. 36 last year. But yeah, obviously he's not what he was at the height of his career, which was one of the best two-way defensive ends in football, honestly.
Yep. Good stuff, Caesar. Appreciate your super chat, brother. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button this morning. John, I want to go through a couple, just kind of we're always into the nitty-gritty of like every single day, but I do kind of want to get your perspective on some of the macro trends of the early season here. We are 7 games in. We're going into week 8 now, and I'm looking for a John McMullen update on where you are on contenders, pretenders, the NFC East, and things alike. So, John, let's start in the NFC East. What are you thinking about the NFC East right now? Just power rank it 1 through 4 for me off the top of your head on where we are, because it's kind of a funny division right now. The Giants have showed flashes of life. The Commanders, they're not going to have Jaden Daniels once again this week. They dropped a game to the Cowboys last week and didn't look very good in that game. The Cowboys are obviously – hold the number 1 offense in football. And anybody who's watched some Cowboys games this year, let's call a spade a spade. That offense is humming right now. And then you have the Eagles who, despite some adversity this year, they still sit at 5-2, which is damn impressive. Where are you, John, on the NFC East right now?
Yeah, I think Dallas has flip-flopped back with Washington to being number 2 because of that offense that you mentioned. And Dak, if their defense was a little bit better, and they're another team when you talk about the trade deadline, proving the stupidity of Jerry Jones, they're looking for a pass rusher, shockingly.
I think you're looking at that a little harsh, John, honestly. I don't think about it. If they would have paid 47 for Micah, they would have had no extra first-round picks. Now, they would have had Micah Parsons, don't get me wrong, but let's just envision they send a 1 and a 3 for Max Crosby. He's making less than Micah. You're probably gonna take on less of a contract, and they picked up an additional first-round pick and a run stopper. So, if they make a move, it might not look so bad. But I do understand they need an edge rusher, and they got rid of one of the best ones in the league. So I understand that.
Well, he's already under contract for whatever, 36 or 37, whatever it is. But
yeah, but if you trade for it, you take on that full thing, or do you take on, because
generally, and I have to look at his contract. Generally, it's backloaded, so you're actually taking on more. Now, the signing bonus up front, you don't have to worry about. But
right.
and then the second part, you're going to have to make him happy. They're in the same boat. With a lesser player, Max is very good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Micah. So it's not like you're not going to have the same issues. He probably thinks he's already underpaid.
Yeah, right.
So no, I'm not going to pass on Jerry, because even if he pulls that off, which he's not, because the Raiders aren't going to trade him. But I digress. But they're looking for an edge rusher, and they had, one of the best edge rushers. You're right. I mean, but my basic philosophy when it comes to good players, and this is what the Eagles do.
Right.
If you get good players, you pay them, and you have to be correct. But I think that the Mike has proven himself. And he's certainly playing well in Green Bay with the new contract, so that's not a problem. I just think it's a dumb way of being football, of running your football team when you have players like that.
Yeah.
When I boil down AJ Brown, and the Eagles aren't trading AJ Brown, I boil it down to they don't let good players out of the building, players like that out of the building. They try to acquire players like that. Now, at some point, if it continues to go down the route of rabble rousing, whatever you want to call the social media stuff, maybe that changes the philosophy and there's other things. But generally, from a football perspective, they don't let players like that out of the building. It's just a bad way of doing business. And that's what the Cowboys did. And you can imagine, and again, the GM's job, and he's not technically the GM, but he is. A GM's job is more than just 1 year. I talk about it all the time with Howie, but everybody wants to rate Howie on 1 year. So if I'm rating Jerry Jones on 1 year, well, he'd have a Super Bowl contender if he had Dak playing like the way Dak's playing and Micah Parsons was there.
Right. That's
They'd
fair.
be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Not saying they'd go. You can talk about their playoff history and what they've done and yada, yada, yada. But they'd be in the conversation with everybody we talk about, the Lions, the Eagles, the Rams, the Packers. The Packers would probably be out of that, and the Cowboys would be in it. And the reason why is Micah Parsons.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I always thought, and I like Micah. I'm not one of the Eagles fan that's hated that doesn't. 47 is a big number, dude. That is a fucking monster.
Well, it's the cost of doing business.
Is it though? I mean, I don't see another edge rusher anywhere close to that. I mean, Myles Garrett's what, 40?
Well, again, you can and yeah, but again,
would you rather go 15 million cheaper for Max Crosby? I get it. Max Crosby's not as good of a player and he's older.
First of all, that's nonsense. Again, the only thing that matters is the guaranteed money. So obviously the agent puts out the most, and he's never going to see the end of that contract. It's going to be redone. It's going to be reworked. So you got to look at the first 2 years. You got to look at the guaranteed money, and that's top of the line. But then everybody else falls into place. That's how NFL contracts work. And when Miles is probably not going to reach that level at his age. So the next guy, whoever the next guy is, that's you set the bar a little bit higher, and that's sort of how it works. But I remember when they first made the deal, and there were people criticizing that contract to the point that David, and I don't want to butcher his last name, had to defend himself. So there's a lot of funny money in that contract. So when you look at average annual value, that's never a good way to look at contracts because it's never going to work out that way. Because look at Jalen Hurts' contract when he signed that, the highest paid player in NFL history at the time. Look at how much of that was backloaded. Deal's going to get reworked before it finishes. That's sort of just the way of the NFL and the contract world. But be very wary of those agent-driven numbers is all I'll say.
Yeah, right. All right, so you got Cowboys 2, which is something we'll see how it shakes out in the East. That just right now, though, that's something I kind of thought would happen. I didn't know what the Commanders were going to be this year, but I expected a regression, John, based on a philosophy you have taught me. Regression to the mean, Johnny Mac. What do you think of the Commanders? I'm sure you have them third. I don't think the Giants have made that big of a push, obviously, yet.
No, they're third. I mean, disappointing. Obviously, you lose the quarterback twice, and it's one of those seasons. And, plenty of time to rebound. We'll see when they get him back. But Marcus Mariota he's done some good things, Marcus. But obviously, you're up against it. So, it's not looking like a good year for them. It's looking like a year that's going in a bad direction. But yeah, I think it's pretty clear the Cowboys have gone past them. And if the Cowboys can figure out that game, we all talk about post-bye, and Green Bay is going to be a big game, and Detroit's going to be Dallas is going to be a good game, a big game too, because it's down there. And they tied one game. So they only have 3 losses. So the Eagles are only up 1 game in a loss column. And there's a game to be played in Dallas, that's going to be a bigger game than people realize.
Yeah, and that
I think.
offense. Anybody who's watched the Dallas game, I'm not talking about watching stats. I'm talking about watching the football game. The defense is bad, but that offense is hunt. I mean, that is a good, that is a really good offense right now. Now it's Dak in October. We'll see if he can do it, when it matters at the end of the year. But right now, he's playing like one of the best QBs in football. And then Giants. What do you think of the Giants right now through 7 weeks, through 8 weeks? Where we are. Obviously, they beat the Eagles, which I think was more of a fluke than anything. I do think they are a team that has gotten better, and they've injected some life into their organization for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're still in a holding pattern because I think they got to move on from the coach and GM. So then you got to bring in a new coach and a new GM who's got to fit with Jackson Dart and like Jackson Dart and get the most out of Jackson Dart. And that's not necessarily as easy as it might seem. So yeah, I think they still have some pain to go through before they hopefully figure things out. But until they figure out head coach and GM, it's just in a holding pattern. You're like in purgatory.
Do you think they should keep Dable with this kid?
I mean, I always lean on the side of continuity, but I don't know if he's shown enough to have earned that thought.
Yeah, that's kind of me too. I do get though people who are like, "Yeah, what are you going to do? Fire another coach? Now you're resetting again in New York."
Well, the problem is you took the quarterback with this coach.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what you don't want to do. But it happens all the time.
They didn't take Jalen Hurts with Nick. They had him before.
Well, that's why it happened. I mean, look at Chicago with Ben Johnson.
Right.
I mean, so it happens all the time, but it's not, if you can avoid it, you'd like to avoid it, but I don't know if Brian Dable has proven enough. So, in the case
I'm not a big fan of Joe Schoen or Shane, whatever the hell his name is.
Well, I don't think anybody is because they got to see there's too much behind the scenes stuff they've gotten to see.
Yeah, but I think there's an art to that. Let's be real. Being an NFL GM or a GM in any sport is kind of a nasty spot. Like eventually you're gonna piss somebody off, a lot of people off, over the course of time. Now there is still a way to do it, and I just didn't get the vibe from some of the stuff I've seen that he does it the right way. Even the decisions. When you make a tough decision, there's a way to do it. There's a way to handle it. There's a professionalism element I think you have to have, and I don't think he has that at all. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think it's I think he's the reason why people aren't going to want to do off-season hard knocks because like you look at the Eagles in-house media stuff now, state-run media, I like to call it. It's all edited by the Eagles.
Right. So they're not putting it out there yet.
Yeah. I mean, they're not putting difficult conversations out there. Could you imagine if Howie's discussion with CJ was out there?
Yeah, right.
The hey buddy stuff. Hey buddy. Hey, we're gonna cut you tomorrow. And again, maybe CJ's selling up, load up. But any GM, I'm not picking on Howie, has to have difficult conversations. If those difficult conversations are made public, I still say to this day, the New York Giants made the right decision to move on from Saquon Barkley. What is Saquon Barkley going to do for the New York Giants? You saw it for 6 years.
Yeah, right. They weren't
in a position to take advantage of Saquon Barkley.
It's the same reason they shouldn't have drafted him at 2, despite him being worth it, or at least talented enough to go that high. They weren't ready. You need a good team to have a great
Exactly. And so many people can't understand that. I do not think at all that Joe Schoen made a bad decision for the New York Giants.
He did handle it poorly, though. I agree with you. I never thought he made a bad decision with them. He didn't handle it very well, dude.
Well, I think a lot of people didn't play. I mean, those are always difficult conversations.
I get that.
And they happen in every city, every team, every year. but they're generally not made public.
Yeah, the
And
interesting part too about the Saquon thing is it wasn't all Shane. I mean, I know that clip went viral of the owner saying, I can't see him in Philadelphia. Saquon posted in his documentary on Amazon, he had a conversation with the owner, and the owner would basically told Saquon, yeah, well, we can't go much higher. So, like, it wasn't like Joe Shane was like, no, I'm doing this, and the owner didn't want him to do that. The owner was on board with what he was doing, whether Saquon
well,
did it or
and
not.
you know, even the clip that went out that said, you know, that Joe Shane basically, you know, was selectively edited to make it look a different way than it really was. And that's why, again, GMs are not going to want to do that show. And most GMs don't want to put any difficult conversation, even if they handle it 100% correctly, because it just looks terrible. Especially when you're talking about players that have had success. I bet you I mean, it's clear at this point now that he's back that Brandon wanted to come back, and the Eagles, Howie steered him in a direction and convinced him that storybook ending, all that kind of stuff. They didn't want him back. I want to be honest. If they wanted him back, he wanted to come back.
Right.
So, I mean, again, this happens in every city. Every city.
No doubt. All right, good stuff there. There's the NFC East talk that we just had. So John still has Eagles at 1. He thinks the Cowboys have hopped the Commanders, which could be big. I mean, the Eagles have 2 games late in the year versus the Commanders. We originally viewed them as tough games. Now, they're still divisional games. You still, obviously, they're not going to be walking the park, but that team is not what we really thought. And they have, some injury problems. They were an old team coming in. So if the Eagles are able to get 2 wins late in the year, that could help for seeding. So keep an eye on that. That's the NFC East talk. John, I want to move into NFC talk real quick and just do this and get your thought on some of the NFC outside of the East. I'm gonna give you a team, and I want you to tell me contender or pretender, and then just a couple thoughts on them. Number 1, I'll go Green Bay Packers, John. They're 4-1-1 right now. They have 158 points for and only 125 points against, a 33-point differential. They're coming off of 2 straight wins. Your thoughts on the Green Bay Packers right now?
Yeah, Super Bowl contender. A little bit disappointing offensively, I would admit, but still a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And I think there's probably 4 that I consider legitimate Super Bowl contenders. So, I mean, it's the tougher conference. So I think you can make an argument for any of the top 4. And if you're just looking style points and who's playing the best football, I think you'd have to put them behind the Lions and the Rams, even though they're ahead of the Lions in the schedule in the standings. But when the Lions are cooking, they're cooking.
Yeah.
The Rams have played well. Kind of had that fluke loss to the Eagles. I mean, you got to be honest.
We'll get there. We'll get to the Rams. I'm gonna go one at a time here. Packers, you have as a contender though, so let's keep rolling. Niners.
No, I think they're a playoff contender, but not a Super Bowl contender.
Me too. I don't see them as a real Super Bowl contender right now. They're too hurt. No Nick. Fred Warner out. Yeah, I don't see that with them being a contender. But hey, maybe they could. They do have an easy schedule, John. Something you talked about all off season of why you thought they were going to be up there, and that's kind of bared out. So we will see. They're 5-1 in the conference right now. Tampa Bay Bucks, John.
No, not a Super Bowl contender, but they're gonna, they're obviously a favorite to win that division. Too many holes. I was not buying that early season Baker Mayfield MVP talk. It's just too reckless. A good player, but not a great player. Good team, not a great team. Similar. In the mold of Baker Mayfield.
Yep, I agree with you there. Lions, John.
Yeah, I mean the Lions are legit.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if it's Dan Campbell, but they always have so many injuries. Maybe they go too hard. I don't know. Their whole secondary's been out. But again, that unlike last year, those guys are going to come back. The Branches, the Kirby Josephs,
Yep.
the Terrion Arnolds, the
It is
DJ
crazy how
Reeds.
good they play, with all the
I
injuries.
know.
Like they were
Um,
swarming that
oh
box.
my God, the
They
secondary
were
looked
everywhere.
great. I'm like,
Yeah,
who are these guys?
I know, man. It's impressive, but you're right. They
Um,
do get a lot of injuries.
and obviously, offensively is they're a juggernaut when they get going. And boy, Gibbs is a good player, man. He's one of the toughest matchups in the NFL.
I agree. I
Um,
agree 100%.
and maybe it helps them to get away from some of the goofy stuff that hurts them occasionally. I know people love it, but again, I always point out that their loss to the Commanders. I mean, they're probably going to lose the game anyway. They just weren't playing well, and they had so many injuries, and they couldn't stop the Commanders. But boy, your season's on the line. You're driving, and Ben Johnson gives the football and say, "Hey, Jameson Williams, throw it." On a trick play. When you have Jared Goff, I mean, with your season on the line, just
Yeah.
I can't. It doesn't compute with me.
You
So
feel like,
there's
I don't know if they're going to do that anymore with no Ben.
well, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think they're just they dampened it a little bit,
And that's
and
a
I
good,
think that's a
probably good.
positive.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes that stuff goes too far. So Lions contender, I agree with you there. Two more in the contender pretender talk, and then we'll talk playoff picture on the NFC. Seattle Seahawks sitting at 5-2. John.
They're sort of on the borderline for me.
Yeah, me too.
I would lean towards not. I would lean towards pretender. They're very good. But I do, and I'm a bigger Sam Darnold fan than most, but they're so something that he has to prove in a big spot. Like I thought people were unfair to him last year because that offensive line was so egregious in the playoffs and in Week 18 against Detroit. Like he was under siege. Now he could have handled it better, but if you can't block, you can't play offense. So I can't blame it on the quarterback. And he's playing so well when he's given time. Like when he's clean, and when every quarterback is clean, good quarterback, they're good. But he might be the best. Him or Jared Goff. When you're completely clean, who throws the football the best? He's in that conversation. And you see the season that Smith and Jigba is having.
Yeah.
But when things do get muddy and things that ultimately get muddy for everybody, he doesn't handle that as well as a lot of the other guys, and he's still got to prove that. So,
Yeah.
So that's why I don't quite put them in the contender category, but they could get there if he figures that last piece of the puzzle out.
Yep, agreed. And last one here, John. Rams. You got him as a contender or a pretender?
Yeah, I think they're a contender.
Me too.
Because Stafford's figured, he's that type of guy. He knows how to do things.
Devontae Adams still looks great too. I wasn't sure if he lost a step. I mean, he's obviously an older player now, but boy, he can still play.
Yeah, and Puka's coming back. He's having a great season. Defensive front is tremendous. Jared Verse is unbelievable. Good team. The Eagles have had their number, but boy, I mean, they outplay the Eagles in that loss. And I know Eagles fans don't want to hear that, but they did. And if you're counting on a blocked field goal to win games, it's great when it happens, but I don't know if there's many legs to that. They're a legit team. But
Yeah.
that, there's also a point of the Eagles are probably in their head a little bit. They're like, bam, damn, we outplay and we do this, we do it, and we still
Can't beat 'em,
lose.
right? And they could
So,
maybe have said the same thing in the playoff game last year. Now, Saquon Barkley went crazy in that game, but still, they had the chance at the end, and Matt Stafford had a decent game, pretty good game in the snow. So you're probably right. There could be some mental aspects to that in that game. All right, John, let's look at a couple of the other NFC content, and then we'll get into the Eagles-Giants game here for the back half of the show. I'll get to some super chats as well. Appreciate everybody being here. Don't forget to hit the like button. NFC after those guys. Now, John, the NFC is in a weird spot because it's 3 of the 4 divisions. The only division that doesn't have this is the East, actually. 3 of the teams, I believe, are above 500. So the only one who's not is the NFC East, where you have the Commanders and the Giants below 500, and the Cowboys are sitting right at 500. So it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of winning teams right now in the NFC, at least early, and there will be a drop-off. Some of them will ascend and maybe get to the playoffs. Some of them will probably drop off and not get to the playoffs. Starting with the Chicago Bears, John, team I liked in the offseason. What do you think of them? Will they maybe make a late playoff push? Do you view them as a bubble team or a team that will fall off?
yeah, I think they're a bubble team. They might be that last playoff team, but they're still the quarterback still makes a lot of mistakes,
Yeah,
but he's got tremendous talent. I think they still are negative point differential, so that kind of tells you when they play poorly, they play poorly. But I think there's a lot of positive steps for the first time in a long time, and that's why you don't draft a talented quarterback at number 1 overall with a defensive head coach. You need to, especially a talented guy who needs work when it comes to the technique of the position, the fundamentals and all.
Some of that, yeah, exactly.
So they got, a great offensive mind. It's getting better, but I've seen a number of their games and there are some ugly still mistakes. So I don't think they're legitimate yet. Big positive step forward. Defense was good, pretty good until they, would fall apart when they were. Yeah, teams tend when they're in last place and having a bad season, teams tend to give up. Let's be honest, human nature. But defense was always pretty good, and it still is. And they need to limit, continue to get better with the mistakes with Caleb, but a lot of positive going on in Chicago for the first time in a long time.
They're 4-2, John, and they've won 4 straight winners of 4 straight games. So interesting where the Bears are right now. I'm with you. I view them as a bubble team that could get in there. I do like Ben. I think he's done better at the other stuff of being a head coach than I thought he would. I like the way he's rallied the team.
And the problem is they'll have to beat Green Bay and Detroit, and that's going to be difficult.
That's a tough division, man. That North, no doubt. John, Panthers, they're 4-3. Bryce Young's been playing better. Dave Canales has done decent things with that team. I don't know if I can buy him yet. What do you think?
I can't buy them. They're I thought that was in the conversation for being the worst team in football coming in. So I think a lot of positive strides, no doubt. And Bryce finally looks like a semblance of an NFL quarterback. So similar to the Bears, a lot of positives for a team that has been through the ringer over the past number of years. But yeah, I don't look at them as a legitimate playoff team yet. Now, they're the opposite of the Bears from the division perspective.
Right.
Atlanta's okay. They're not great. We talked about Tampa Bay. They're probably going to win the division. So not nearly as tough when it comes to the in-division foes. So maybe, if it comes down to the Bears versus the Panthers might have the advantage from that perspective of being a sneaky team to get in. But I don't, like Bryce, And it's interesting because they're both number 1 overall picks, but Caleb Williams has so much more of an upside than Bryce Young. So much more. So and
Caleb just makes more dumb plays than Bryce does.
well, he does, yeah. But I'm talking if you can limit
I know
the dumb
what
plays,
raw. Yeah,
and which is a big part of it. I mean, that's why I wouldn't have taken Caleb number 1, but for that reason. But I do think Ben Johnson is maybe the best offensive mind in football. So
yeah.
I think that factors into it too.
Stay in that division, John. Falcons. I'm not buying them. I'm sorry, I'm not. But what do you think?
No, they're good, but they're not good. You know, Michael Penix is like, all right. Bijan Robinson, I love. I mean,
Play.
um,
Michael Penix does have a cannon. I'll give him that. Doesn't always equate to wins, but holy shit, that ball comes off his hand, dude. It's like a rocket.
I don't know. I'm something missing with him. I thought he was overdrafted.
Yeah.
I still think he was overdrafted.
Many did.
But you know, that was an interesting draft too because they just signed Cousins. But they're good. They're not great. But yeah, I mean they're in that 7th conversation as well. But nothing more. One and done potentially.
Cowboys, John. You think they're a team that could get to the playoffs?
Yeah.
Me too. I got them as a bubble team too. Bubble team for the Cowboys. Vikings.
No. Oh, a quarterback situation is just an abject disaster.
Yeah,
I mean,
John, I got to give you credit. You were on that from Jump Street, man. You were on that.
I've said it. That was the single worst personnel decision of the offseason. And very considering the reputation of Kevin Oak, you got to be very disappointed. I mean, look, I get you want the young quarterback because it's cost effective and you can build the rest of the row. I get that philosophy. But this is a league where if you find a quarterback, no matter how you find that quarterback, you hold on to him. And look at the way Sam is playing in Seattle.
And they had Daniel too.
They had Daniel Jones. They had Aaron Rodgers wanted to play there. Even after they made the mistake of moving on from Sam Darnold and moving on from Daniel Jones, who both wanted to play there. Then Aaron wanted to play there and was holding out basically for them to make a decision. And they said, nope, we're going with J.J. McCarthy. Unbelievable to the point where, you know, he's got a great record. He's got this reputation. I'm not saying they're going to fire him, but I think it's a fireable offense. That is such an egregious decision. It is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because if that team has Sam Darnold, they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I agree. They got so many good players on that team. Yep, you're right about that. I'm with you on them not buying them. Commanders, John, there's a couple teams here I was going to leave out, but I'll give you the context as to why I'm not leaving them out. But let's start with the Commanders. They're 3-4 right now. Jaden Daniels not going to be in this week again. Monday Night Football versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not buying them. What do you think?
No, well, unless the quarterback gets healthy, and I have no idea what. I mean, it just looks like one of those seasons for Washington. Everything's going wrong.
I told you that when you're the oldest roster in pro football, that normally doesn't mean.
Oh yeah, that's part of it. I mean, yeah, when
we tried telling all our command. Where's James Jones? James, I tried telling you all summer you don't want to be the oldest team in football.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's always a delicate balance. You want to. You certainly want to their team. I mean, you look at that Peyton Manning Denver team, they're probably the most example. Like a lot of the general consensus is, you know, you build through the draft and then you sort of, you know, add through free agency, targeted ads. You know, but that's a team that went all in and just signed a bunch of veterans and they won. So I mean, there's more than one way to do things, but Yeah, generally when you sign a bunch of old guys, injuries are going to start piling up, and more so now in the NFL because I don't think guys play through things like they. I don't think there's a lot of Landon Dickersons left. Like I think to use Landon locally as an example, 99% of the players dealing with what he's dealing with would not be playing, and I think that's changed drastically from 10, 15 years ago, never mind 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
To the point one Eagles player told me that, and he's young. You would think that's a very young Eagles player said, guys are just soft.
It's interesting. John, moving on, last two. Now, these are two teams, John, I was not going to put in this conversation at all, but I had to do it because you'll remember Nick Sirianni's first year as head coach, Jalen Hurts' first year as full-time starter. The Philadelphia Eagles started, what, 2-5.
2-5.
They went to the playoffs that year. We got 2-5 teams, the Cardinals and the New York Football Giants, John. Any of them you think could have a big turnaround and get to the playoffs? What do you think of those two teams? Start with the Cardinals.
Well, the Cardinals are, unfortunately for JG, who I a lot of fondness for. I mean, those poor guys, they've lost, I think, 4 straight by a total of 14 points.
5 straight.
5 straight.
5 straight losses.
Their point differential is -1 at 2-5.
Yep, I see it.
They're in every game and they just can't find a way to finish. So they're much closer than the Giants. But at some point, when it keeps going in a negative direction, again, guys, just naturally human nature start to check out. And they're in a division with the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers. They have no shot to get back in this thing. Even though obviously they'll start beating themselves, that group. But I mean, that's arguably the best division in football this year. That or probably the NFC North.
Yeah.
But I think, I think Minnesota skews the North in a negative standpoint now. But I think that might be the best division. So the Eagles have the Giants, excuse me, have an easier road because of the NFC East isn't as good as the NFC West.
Yep.
But yeah, they're just not ready. And especially without Malik Neighbors. I don't obviously he's just one player, an offensive playmaker, but
you're right, though. In the long haul, you're not going to be able to make it all the way back with Wandale Ra. At least I don't think so.
No, not at all. So, I mean, the Cardinals have good players, good team, but they've had some bad luck. Let's be honest. I mean, you remember the crazy sequence where he was yelling at the running back and got in trouble for, dropping the football before on a touchdown, and then they had that weird. What was it, an interception fumble? And then they got it back. The offensive team got it back in the end zone for a touchdown. They've had a lot of weird stuff happen, the Cardinals.
Yep. John, that's it for the NFC. Good conversation. I do like to update, everybody in the chat, and then also just kind of we always want to keep an eye on the full league as well. I don't just like to be so Eagle centric that we have no idea what's going on in the rest of the league. So
Eagles.
Yeah, it's good to talk a little bit about the NFC. We will turn the page here and get to the Eagles Giants. Start to preview that game. Couple super chats, John. Real quick, I'm not going to do the full thing with the AFC, but your contenders, just Super Bowl contenders.
What a crappy conference.
Crapshoot, man.
I don't think any.
5-2, Denver's 5-2, Steelers are 4-2, Bills are 4-2, Chargers are 4-3. The Colts are obviously at the top at 6-1. Jaguars 4-3, Chiefs are 4-3. I still think they might be the best team in the AFC or second best team. Who do you got? Contenders or real Super Bowl contenders from the AFC? Can you put your thumb on it yet?
Well, I'm hoping Shane Steichen is out in Indianapolis listening to this because I love you, Shane. And you are my hope. You are my great hope, because I've said pretty consistently, I don't want to watch the damn Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. Not for the reason Eagles fans now. I'm just sick of them they're not because the league favors them, and they've had a great run and tremendous respect for Andy Reid. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of that team. And there's not much hope that it's going to be anybody but that team unless it's Indianapolis.
Indy's good though, man. They're a legit team.
And that's why he's my hope. Shane Steichen.
All right. So do you think the Colts are, in your heart, John? Do you think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender?
I do.
Okay.
I think they're the best team in that conference right now. But again, they're not proven, but they have to prove it.
Right.
And Daniel Jones is my MVP through 7 games. I've said that, but there's 10 more to go. So that's my hope. But as far as legitimate contenders, then I say Kansas City, Buffalo. That's it.
Chiefs and Buffalo.
That's it.
There's one more I'm going to add, and it's going to sound bold. I'm going to add the Patriots.
Well, I like Drake May, but I like Mike Vrabel, but I don't think they're legitimately a Super Bowl contender. I think it's a great story.
They'd have to catch fire in the playoffs in
Yeah.
order for that to work, but
I still hold out a little hope with Baltimore if they can get Lamar back to get
1-5. Eventually, that hole is going to be too big.
Well, I know. That's what I mean. They have to sneak in with the 7th spot and then start playing their best football, and they can beat anybody, but I doubt it's going to happen. I don't believe in Denver a little bit. I mean, they're winning crazy games. They should have lost to the Eagles. They should have lost to the Giants. So you give them credit.
Massive comebacks on the Eagles and the Giants.
Yeah, you give them credit for winning the games, but I don't think they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Chargers have had so many injuries. They'll win tonight. Minnesota never wins on Thursday night.
You got the game tonight, Chargers Vikings?
Yeah. By the way, I saw somebody in the chat said that the Vikings are like 0-7 on the road on Thursday Night Football. And somebody put they haven't won on Thursday night in 50 years. They just started playing on Thursday night, dude. I mean, it's terrible that they haven't won, but yeah, it's not 50 years or whatever they said.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the AFC. Steelers, I think maybe, but it kind of feels like another classic Steelers. They win 10 games and then they get bounced. That's what I'm feeling there, but maybe not. We'll see what ends up happening.
Well, yeah, but you know what, Pittsburgh, I don't think they're I think they're going to win the division. I don't think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. But it does help that division stinks now. And, they're going to have an easy road. So that gives them a little bit of a leg up, because that was supposed to be one of probably the most difficult division in the AFC, and it's not shaken out that way. So I think that's a positive. But boy, the AFC stinks compared to the NFC.
Yeah, it's crazy. No doubt about it. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Appreciate everybody for being here. Let's go to some supers. Caesar says, Caesar, thanks for the love today, my man. Also, I wanted to thank all of Jacob for teaching me and giving me a better look into this beautiful sport. Caesar, appreciate that, brother. With the Chilean pesos, you're very memorable because of your Chilean pesos.
Yes.
Caesar's in the city right now, so good stuff.
Well, that's my goal. My goal with this show is to elevate.
Yeah, I think you do a good job at it, John. Dirty Air says, imagine having Micah Parsons in your building, trading him away, and then trying to sign an older and not as talented one.
Yeah, I mean that's just when you get a player like that, don't let him out of the building. Now there's always exceptions if guys are so disgruntled, and like I said, any player can force his way out at the end of the day. But I mean those were all self-inflicted wounds. Micah wanted to stay there. And Jerry was playing his stupid games that he always plays, and it got to the point where he's like, you know what, I don't want to be part of your circus, and yeah, I mean, if they had him, I think they'd be a legitimate contender, and they don't have him, and they're not. So, nice job, Jerry.
Yep, Dirty Air. Appreciate the super chat, brother. One more, and then we'll get into this Eagles-Giants game. James Williams, what's up, James? Is Willie Lampkin out indefinitely? Why did we sign him? Who y'all think we trade for? We talked about trades a little bit earlier, James. I don't want to go fully back into that conversation. You can kind of rewind the show, or we'll post up the segment on the channel. But, John, what's up? What is up with Willie Lampkin?
Yeah, I mean, he was hurt, and the Eagles, did something that teams typically don't do and claimed a hurt, injured player off waivers. So, I mean, he's working his way back. He's on injured reserve, but it was never about this season. It was about they saw a guy they liked and who thinks has an upside. Were willing to wait for him to get healthy. I saw him yesterday. I see him multiple times. He's out on the field rehabbing. I don't think you're going to see him this year because he's not ready to play, but it was always a long-term play for a guy they think that has upside. So I wouldn't, if you're they didn't get Willie Lampkin to help in 2025. They got Willie Lampkin to help down the road. And hopefully he gets healthy and he can. Very unique. You don't see too many. He's like he's under 6 foot. He's 5'10", 5'11". He's a wrestler. He was a big time wrestler, amateur wrestler in high school, and he's got that build, like a classic wrestler build.
He does. He really does. Ed Kratz would appreciate that.
Oh, Ed loves him because of that.
He does.
But yeah, I mean, he's a long-term play. It was never about help this season, Willie Lampkin.
Yeah, good stuff, James. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Appreciate everybody for being here today. John, 25 minutes left in the show today. Eagles-Giants, John, just your early – where are you on this game? I feel like the Eagles could beat the shit out of them this weekend. I don't know why I feel like that. I just have that feeling. But at the end of the day, they are playing good football. They got some swagger back in that building, obviously coming off a pretty devastating loss last week. But your thought on the Eagles-Giants, game number 2 of the year between these two teams. It's a 1 p.m. game this Sunday, Eagles donning the Kelly green jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have won 12 straight against the Giants at Lincoln Financial Field. That's since 2014, so it's been a while. They to me, losing to them a couple weeks ago even makes it more likely that the Eagles are going to be locked in. Like, I think if they won that game and they won in Minnesota like they did, then you have the is this a trap game conversation. But the fact that they actually lost to the Giants, I think it makes it even more likely they win this game. Yeah, I do not see the Giants having much of a chance in this one.
Well, I'll give you the one spot where the Giants could hurt or could change the trajectory of this football game. If you have no Cam Jurgens and you have Dexter Lawrence in the middle, eating up on that interior of the O-line, getting pressure up the middle, opening things up for those edge rushers, that's the only spot I see it. I mean, the Giants have to beat this team through the defensive line, in my opinion, and
I talked about that in the first game. That's the strength of the Giants, no doubt about it. That defensive front, and Brian Burns.
We had Cam in the first game.
Yeah, Brian Burns has already got 9 sacks, I think.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're very good up front, very talented. But come on, the Eagles have not played well in the running game, as we know. We talked about. Look around the league. I say it every week. All right, you don't have Cam Jurgens for it. Persevere. Come on. I mean,
but John, you also always talk about matchups and the game within the game. That's the game within the game.
I agree, and I'm not saying it's not going to be ugly at times, and I'm not saying Dexter Lawrence isn't going to beat you at times, but if you can't overcome you deserve to lose. Again, the around this league, the injuries are just piling up and piling up and piling up, and all these teams seem to be able to do some things with backups everywhere. Yes. Is it going to be muddy at times in certain situations against a player like Dexter Lawrence? Of course. Yeah, it is when Cam's out there because he's so good. But I can't get into this mindset of, well, this guy's out, so you can't persevere against a bad football team overall that you already lost to once, that hasn't swept you since 2007. You're at home. This is more of and people always use that term must win, not literal, but figurative sense. Like if you lose this game, you just you go from being Super Bowl contender to a notch down in my book. I mean, this is as big as a layup as you get in the NFL. Um, it just is, and you have to go in and you have to handle your business.
Well, I
Period.
will say this. I know Jackson Dart had a nice game versus us last time, but I don't think he's getting the better of Vic Fangio twice. I think it's a bad setup for him to get Fangio twice in 3 weeks. I just do.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the Eagles have won 12 of 13 overall at Lincoln Financial Field. So not they've won 12 straight against the Giants in Lincoln Financial Field, but they generally play well against everybody, or at least, have won, if you look at that Rams game. But they got the second highest winning percentage at homes since 2022. I mean, they never lose at Lincoln Financial Field to begin with. The Giants have lost 9 straight road games. I mean, yeah, if they lose this game, I will be ripping this team. Tune in to the post game show if they
Good
lose.
try. I don't think they're going to lose this game, man.
There's no freaking way.
If the Giants sweep the Eagles this year, oh man, those Giants fans will be relentless.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can't lose this game. You shouldn't lose this game. There's no reason to think they'll lose this game. But yes, I mean, whether it's Brett Toth or a 70% Landon Dickerson, they're going to have some trouble with Dexter Lawrence. They'll probably, even Jordan will have Jordan Mailata will have a snap or two where he struggles against Brian Burns. Kayvon Thibodeau might make a play. Abdul Carter might make a play, but consistently, I mean, you have so many advantages all over the field.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, you saying the Eagles have to prevail. The Giants are nicked up too. Now, just real quick, the update on them for everybody is 3 Giants starters didn't practice yesterday. It doesn't mean they're not going to play, but it is something to keep an eye on. Brian Burns, who we spoke highly of, has 9 sacks already this year. Paulson Adebo, their cornerback, something to keep an eye on. And then Javon Holland, their safety. So that defense has 3 big injuries who did not practice yesterday. And then they had Chauncey Colston, and they also have a couple offensive linemen. Their center, was limited. And then Illuminor, their right tackle, was limited as well. So that's something to keep an eye on too, John. They have some injuries as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the longest injury report the Eagles have had, I think, all season. So, but that's the nature, I mean, as you go on. But again, the Giants have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 guys on the injury report. The Eagles have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's still more injured, I bet you every game this year, and whether it's the Eagles have had a tremendous run of injury luck, and that's part of winning in this league. And they do, they would argue they do a lot of things from a health standpoint, preventative standpoint, sports science standpoint, rehab standpoint, and they deserve credit for that. But they've been, again, one of the least injured teams in the NFL. So I can't stand the injury excuses from that perspective, because everybody in this league is banged up, and some teams, big time teams, like we just talked about, look at Tampa Bay's injuries, look at San Francisco's injuries. You know, just crippling. I mean, San Francisco, Nick Bosa and Fred freaking Warner. That's basically different position, but that's basically Jalen Carter and Zach Bond.
Right.
That's what that is. Got to go out there.
You're right. That is like Jalen Carter and Zach Bond. That's a big loss there. Well, John, they their edge rushing group with Burns. We just talked about him. He has 9 sacks. Something that's weird to me, John, is everywhere else it says Burns has 9 sacks, and then you go on PFF and it says he has 8 sacks. I don't know why that is, but
well, they use statistics differently.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever. Nick Bonito and Byron Young are the only 2 guys with more sacks. They both have 10 each, which is literally freaking crazy. But they also have one of the top pressure guys in the league right now, John, is their rookie, Abdul Carter. Now, he hasn't gotten home yet in the sack category, but he's getting a lot of pressures out there. So something to keep an eye on as well is Abdul Carter. They do
one
have
of my favorite conversations, which I do not understand why people cannot understand it, the pressure conversation, especially after a week like this, Eagles fans. And by the way, hat tip to Big Fangio. Vic, I love you.
Yep.
He went right there. Yeah, well, Jalen Carter made that play.
Right.
Come on, guys. How do you not know that? How does that? Why does that have to be explained?
Where's Real Zeal in the chat? He's the one who's always tweeting at us. Sacks over pressure, sacks over pressures, sacks over pressure. I think they're both very valuable, in my opinion.
Well, again, people only hear part of the conversation for whatever reason. Sacks are never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Never a bad thing. However,
easier to conflate.
At times, like let's say Jordan Davis's first sack of the year. Great play, right? Gets Matthew Stafford, runs him down. He was going to get a first down, runs him down. It was a no gain, not even a loss, no gain, but that's a sack. What was and it was a very big play in the game. I don't want to dispute it, but what was a bigger play? Was it the Jordan Davis sack or the Jalen Carter pressure against the Vikings?
Right.
What was a bigger play?
Obviously, the pressure.
Everything's contextual. There's a lot of big sacks.
Yeah, right.
A lot of strip sacks.
Might be important, but
all sacks are not created equal. That's the point.
Right.
And all you look at is Brian Burns. That's what we're talking about. He's got 9 sacks. Well, guess what? And I haven't watched every snap of the New York Giants. Some of those 9 sacks were bullshit sacks. Maybe you talked about Abdul Carter pressures. Maybe Abdul Carter had a pressure and ran the quarterback right into Brian Burns. A lot of them are legitimate big-time sacks that help the Giants, but that's just the nature of it. And don't listen to me. You can listen to Chris Long. He'll tell you that to the end of days. Vic will tell you that. You know, the reporter who asked that question was, wanted to obviously write a story on Jelix Hunt. And, he took it. He wanted a nice little clip about Jelix. And
they did not give him it technically.
and Vic's not trying to be a dick. He's like,
no, he's giving you the honest answer.
Yeah. Because that was the honest answer. And I've said even more than that play. I think that play by Jalen Carter impacted the whole game because I don't think Carson Wentz was the same after getting hit like that.
Yeah. You said that on the when you mentioned your rewatch, and I was looking at some of the game. You can see it. I mean, Wentz has always had kind of an ability to see shadows, but it certainly ramped up in a big way after that one. Well, John, it's going to be it should be a good matchup this weekend. I don't want to go to sleep on. I feel like the Eagles are going to just.
You can take a nap at least. Maybe you don't want to sleep the whole night, but you can take a nap.
I can take a nap.
Yeah.
I'm not a napper, John. So
I know. I'm just being facetious, but
no, I know what you're saying. I know you're just messing. Yeah, well, we'll see. What do you think the offensive plan is going to be, John? You think they come out throwing again? You think they get the run game going? I mean,
they didn't come out throwing against the Vikings.
No, they didn't. And they didn't.
Yeah, I same thing. I think they want to get the run game going. More difficult this week on paper because of Dexter, um, ironically. And then they'll pivot from there. And by the way, I think the Eagles deserve credit for that, which I know a lot of people don't want to give them credit. But look, you come in with a game plan, but the key is to adjust because every time it's an imperfect game. Nothing's going to work to the degree you planned it to. So, I mean, the contingencies and the adjustments have to be where you win games, and they won games. We talked about there's a curious game plan, defensive game plan from Brian Flores, who I like, but it was curious. Let's be kind and say it was curious. And the Eagles saw he was leaving Isaiah alone at times with two really good receivers, and the Eagles took advantage of it. And that they deserve credit for toggling and doing that. But I think long term they want to get this run game going. I know.
Yeah, right.
And they haven't been able to do it. On paper, this doesn't look like this would be the week to get that going, but it didn't look like last week would be the week they would get the pass game going against the second-ranked pass defense that can't stop the run. This is a crazy league.
It really is, man. It really is. It really is.
So, I mean, I know in a macro sense they want to get the running game going badly.
Obviously. And I think that's going to be more important, though, late in the year. Obviously, you want to get it going now. I'm just saying, you can prevail and win a couple games without it getting going now. I don't think you're going to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender when you get into the playoffs if you still can't run the football. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, certainly not at this level. I mean, if they continue, I can't imagine they'll continue a whole year with this ineffectiveness. But if they do, when we hit the playoffs, they will not be a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, no doubt. Johnny Mac, what's on the agenda today for the Birds?
Practice locker room, Thursday practice, which is the biggest of the week from the standpoint of us being able to watch it. We get more time at the Thursday practice, and we'll get to see at least who. Jeff Stoutland doesn't usually play games when it comes to individual and combo drills. He will give away who is going to play center.
Right. So you'll be able to see if Landon is not right. Okay.
So that's probably going to be the biggest part of today's practice to sort of check that out. And then some of the injuries. I don't have much hope that Cam Jurgens is going to be able to play this game, or Adoree Jackson, because he's not a quarterback, so he's a cornerback, so he's not going to get through the protocol in a week. And Trotter, who's having a big year on special teams, so that's one of those things that nobody cares about, but it's an issue, and he'd be the one that maybe potentially, because he was out there watching, and he seemed to be moving around pretty good, saw him in the locker room. So, but that's obviously a backup player, special teams player, but he might have a chance to get back on the field for the Eagles.
Yep, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, what did you make of, real quick, just to close it out, we got a couple minutes left in the show today. I'll get to one more super chat here. What did you make of we never talked about it today, and I know people hate the conversation, but it is what it is. What did you make of Jalen's comment back to the AJ tweet? I thought that was classic Jalen Hurts, and he looks over at Bob Lang. Yeah, I got prepped. I mean, that was hilarious.
That was not Bob. That was John Gannode. So
John, whatever, whoever it was that prepped him on it.
John handles the quarterbacks. He has for every, he handled Carson Wentz. So he's had some tough days over the years, John. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that, it tells you where they are as a personal relationship. But look, they proved they could do it on the field. That's all that matters. But yeah, he definitely handled it and basically said, I was told about it, but
I'm focused.
I believe he said, I'm focused on the collective, like
Yeah.
he's on the Star Trek Enterprise. He's focused on the collective.
Jalen, he's a funny dude, man. But I do give him respect for the focus. You know, he does bring it. You know, and that's a tough thing to do, and it's tough in any realm of life, obviously, to stay that focused all the time. So he does deserve a lot of credit for that. Do you think it has any impact this week, John, in the plan? Do you think AJ was just trolling this week? How did you see it? Because you brought up last week, and I know people hate talking about it, but the reality is he keeps doing it. And you brought up something that was interesting to me because you obviously have a good relationship with AJ Brown, where you're like, maybe he's just not happy here in Philly anymore. Maybe that's just where we are. Did you get anything from that this week, or did you more see that as just kind of AJ trolling?
Well, he didn't talk after the game, so I did ask a bunch of people, which is rare, which is especially rare because he had a big game and a successful game. But for whatever reason, he didn't talk. He wrote what he wrote because he's hurt. He didn't have to be in the locker room. Not that he has to be, but he typically would be. And, if it continues to go that way, he's probably not going to talk till Friday, if at all, this week. And then it might be not until after the game we get to talk to him. So I do think, like I said, for many, because this has been around for so long in the offseason, there's no way they're trading him even before the deadline. But I have said this is the first time where I would entertain it after the season. And by entertain, I don't mean the Eagles should trade him. I think at some point, if he's that unhappy, it might have to go that route. But that's off-season talk, not in season.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I do go back to Super Bowl comments and not feeling the way he thought he would feel after winning the Super Bowl. I thought those were interesting because you're taught to believe that, hey, you're going to be so happy. And he was like, and it was more of like he gets a charge out of doing what he did to Isaiah Rodgers, dominating the player against him. He said that. And that's a good friend. He's
that's
very
kind
close.
of true of everything in life, isn't it, John? Like everything is talked up. Oh, you want to get to this point in life, or you want to make this much money, or you want to get this level of success, and then you get there, and it's like, all right, I'm here. What's next? It's kind of
exactly
true for everything in life in a way.
And usually, even if you do get that feeling, it's very short lived, obviously.
Right? Exactly.
And then real life comes back into the equation. So. He's fueled by dominating, the people he's going against. And if you're not used, you're probably not satisfied by it.
Right.
So,
which makes sense. Which makes sense. No doubt about it. Johnny Mac, good stuff. The people want to know, when is the John McMullen book coming, John? We got to get this thing going.
It's a good question, man. It's a good question. I'd like to, I keep a little sort of diary because, as you go through the year, little pivot points.
Right. Little things you think are right.
But it's coming probably after I retire from the beat. But it's coming at some point.
Yeah, we're ready for it, John. JAKIB is ready for it. The people are ready for it. I'm certainly ready for it. So we got to talk about that a little bit more. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. It's a Thursday edition, so we're getting closer to this Week 8 matchup, and then the Birds will have the bye on the other side of this, so they'll be able to kind of regroup. A perfect time for a bye week for this team, in my opinion. Week 9 is as good as it gets in terms of bye, and at least in my opinion. Your final thought here today, John, on a Thursday edition of Birds 365.
Good overriding discussion in the NFC. Nothing ever unfolds the way you think it's going to unfold, but the Eagles are still sitting in a position that where, they're in a good position that if they start and continue getting better, they can play their best football late in the season, which is the goal. And they're still relevant. I wouldn't put them ahead of certain teams, but they're still one of the few legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I agree. One super chat, John, before you go here. JH says, this year may be down. JH, relax. We don't know that yet. But thoughts on 26 and 27, John? I'm liking our chances to be
26 and 27. Come on.
Picks, health, and player development. JH,
Wow.
that is a crazy comment, my man.
Yeah.
We're in week 8 of 25, my guy.
Well, he's like, is that Howie? That might be Howie.
Yeah,
that
right.
might be a burner account, man.
Howie Burner wants to get John's opinion on the future.
I do think the Eagles are set up well moving forward, but a lot of it depends on the evaluation of the defensive players. Now, I have no doubts on Quignon and Cooper at this stage. I mean, they're just good football players.
I agree.
Jalen is just uber talented, Jalen Carter. I mean, just incredibly talented. You want to see more consistency, and you want to see him clean up some of the maturity issues, I would describe them as. Nolan, I'm starting to waver on a little bit, like just from the standpoint of long-term viability from just being able to be out on the field. I mean, best ability is availability.
Right? The physical nature of the game, and just
very, very good player. But can he hold up at his weight and playing the physical style that he does? His 21-day practice. That's another thing. It could have started yesterday with Ja'Cory Bennett. It did not.
Right.
So the always goal was to get him back after the bye, so it's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal if they come off the bye and they don't activate it.
Right.
And I think but it's something to keep an eye on, because 21 days is 21 days. They could have got him out there yesterday, had plenty of time, waited after the bye. Now maybe they don't want to deal with all the questions about will he be back for this game, blah, blah. But you can just be honest. I know that's not typical, and say, no, we're looking to get him back after the bye. And you get that extra practice time. But just keep that in the back of your head, because the assumption is he will be back. There's no guarantee of that. So it's something to keep an eye on.
Yep, no doubt. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. Appreciate it. As always, we'll talk to you tomorrow on a Football Friday. Thank you, my man.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, J-Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen, the #1 Eagles beat reporter in town. I like to call him Eagles Insider. Not, John mentioned, you heard him there, subtle. When I'm off the beat is when I'm writing my book. Well, most media outlets won't support somebody when they get off the beat like that. I told John, full disclosure, I'm ready to keep you on, obviously. Write this book. We'll cover the game in a different way if you're not on the beat. I want to do that. I think that would be a great dynamic. But obviously, I get where John's coming from, where right now he's on the beat, so it's a tough thing to do. But something John's always wanted to do, and something that as a company I'd like to do and support him in, and try and make something happen of it. So I think it'd be a great thing. All right, I think it'd be a great thing. And Catch, you're not wrong necessarily. You got to get out of the beat to be able to be honest, brother. You have to. It's just the nature of the beast at this point. So, good stuff. I like today's show. All right, I know we didn't have any guests. We a couple people flaked on us. So sometimes it can be tough to pick up a guest, but we didn't have any guests today. And I thought we had a great conversation. NFC East, AFC contenders. The trade conversation about potential targets for this football team. We obviously talked about Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Ebiketie, some of the cornerbacks, some of the other options out there. So pretty good stuff today on the show. And Keith, I like to say that too. Every once in a while, I like to say, fuck, a guest is right, man. Well, let's talk football. Let's get into what John thinks as well. So I'm happy we did that today. So I'll take some comments from the great people of JAKIB Nation. All right. Vulnerable says, I'll sub in. Vulnerable, you don't want to sub in. I'll be beating your ass about Missouri. All right. Money Mitch. So we talked about it in the open. If you want to hear us talk about the Sixers, first 8 minutes of the show today, I want to say, and Money Mitch, which I view you as no limit, but you're Money Mitch on the channel now, so I'll call you that. I think I'm sucked into the Sixers. Now, I didn't watch the game last night. I was very busy last night. I was out of the house for a little bit. I didn't have a chance to catch the game. But when VJ Edgecone's dropping 34 in his debut, when Tyrese Maxey's putting up 40, and B didn't have a good night, but when you got a backcourt like that, that's a team that I will be able to get behind. And I grew up, guys, when I was a kid, the Sixers were my favorite sports team. That was my favorite sports team. I went to Sixers games all the time. It was one of my Christmas gifts one year was when I was younger. Was I came down on Christmas morning and there was tickets for the Sixers game that day on Christmas Day. And we loaded up into the car right after I got the gift. And we went down to the Sixers Christmas Day game. I think it was like a noon or early game on Christmas Day. So I've always loved the Sixers, man. I've always loved the Sixers. And admittedly, just with work and how busy I am, obviously, building JAKIB and talking about the Eagles. And, I've really tried to obviously dive into learning everything about football and the Eagles and the league and stuff like that, where I just haven't had the time to dive into basketball as much as I used to. And I think I'm going to do it this year. I think I'm going to lock in and really watch Sixers basketball again, which I'm kind of excited about. I love basketball, man. I've always liked basketball. I've always loved basketball. So I think I'm going to lock in on the Sixers this year. I think I'm going to lock in. They'll probably let us down as they always do, but I like that Edgecombe kid. I like Maxey, obviously. So I'm looking forward to maybe watching him a little bit. Sig Lord, exactly. I'm going to buy in and watch VJ and Maxey. So we'll see. All right, we'll see. But that's gonna be good, and I will most definitely going to lock in on that. I said to John, like, I gotta lock in early. Like the Phillies this year, I locked in. Like I was like from the start of the Philly season, I bought into watching the Phillies, consuming the season, and watching them all year. And I did it. I watched most games. And I think I'm going to do it with the Sixers. I got to watch some highlights from last night's game. I didn't catch the game last night. But Mr. Jeezy says basketball is a snooze fest. And the NBA has gone through a lull period. I think, Spiko, you're right. In general, the NBA had a kind of a tough patch. But I'm hopeful it starts coming back up. I'm hopeful it starts coming back up. I'm hopeful that the game kind of, you get some young, talented studs in the league, and they can bring in some optimism on the league and just kind of watching it as in general. So, I'm gonna tune in. All right, when's the next Sixer game? Should I start doing Sixer streams? Saturday. All right, so we got the World Series, I believe, starts Friday. This is such a great sports time of the year. Any dudes out there that have a woman, no, that's just that drives them crazy. Every time I'm with my girl, I work all day, and then I sit down at night and I'm like, I gotta watch sports. She's like, really? More sports? I'm like, yeah, I gotta watch the shit, man. So classic, but it is a great So Saturday you got the Hornets. I might start doing streams after the game. What do you guys think? I might start doing streams after the Sixers games. You guys want to talk some Sixers ball here on JAKIB Sports? Let's talk basketball, baby. Brian Fleming, no comment, though. You got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me, B. Fleming. Flexing. Wait, Flex, are you not a Sixer fan? I know you're not a Phillies fan. You're not a Sixer fan either? Damn, Flex, you flaked on two Philly teams. Kyle Kokorski says Sixers are ass. Kokorski. A Sixers show, I may just get into basketball for real. Oh, Flex. Flexen's got the Lakers. Are you fucking kidding me, Flex? The Lakers. I'll tell you this. I loved Kobe Bryant. I fucking loved Kobe. Everybody loves Kobe, but I loved Kobe Bryant. Loved Kobe Bryant, man. Absolutely loved Kobe Bryant. He says Lakers are my second team. They're joking. Xander, I'll do a Sixers recap. Sixers lost again. Goodbye. Should take a couple seconds. Come on, man. Come on, man. I think John sold me. John came in today. He was hot. He was like, VJ Edgecove is a stud. I'm like, whoa. Do I gotta lock in on the Sixers? And John's like, it's worth watching that kid develop. I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm in. All I needed was a little bit of hope. All right. All I needed was a little bit of hope. Damn, so Flex, Kobe Bean Bryant, legendary, man. All right, guys, there's one sport I will never watch consistently. I don't even watch the big shit, the World Cup and the goofy. I hate soccer, bro. I hate it. I'm sorry. I fucking hate soccer. There's not a thing about soccer that entertains me, that excites me, that wants me to watch it, that wants me to be a fan, that wants me to support it, that wants me to learn about it. There's not a single thing. Not a single thing about soccer that I like. I guess maybe you tip the cap to Ronaldo and Messi, who are the kind of the GOATs. So that's cool. But yeah, soccer I'm not in on. Sorry, bro. Flexen, you're on a run of bad taste right now. Sorry, bro. I love it. My daughter wants to play. Well, Andrew, the daughter is a good reason to get into it. Maybe when I have kids and I don't know, Andrew, I hate to say it, but daughters can play soccer. If my son looks at me and says, Dad, I want to play soccer, young man, shut up. All right. I'm the dad around here. Okay. No soccer for you. I don't care what Jimmy at school said. All right. I don't care what Billy Bob told you at recess. You're not playing soccer. All right. You can play anything but soccer. You're not playing soccer. I refuse to be a dad to sons. And God willing, I have sons. I refuse to be a dad to sons who play soccer. Okay. Daughters, sure. Daughters, all right. Sorry if anybody's son plays soccer out there. To each his own. You're allowed to do whatever you want. All right. My nephew plays soccer. I chirp him all the time. He's 5 years old. But I keep a mini hoop. You guys know those mini hoops that they're like the good ones? I've always kept one in my studio. The Spalding mini hoops on the door. Oh, almost cashed that. He came here, my nephew. You guys saw him last week if you watched my segment on Cilio Show. He was hooping in here all week. I'm like, yeah, you should be playing. You should be playing better than soccer. All right. You like the green Kanga. This is that Bermuda style, bro. This is cool. I like this hat. Got that Bermuda. It's that Bermuda grass look, man. It's clean. Clean as a whistle. All right. Flex said Xander missed that shot. No, I didn't, bitch. That swished. Now, those mini hoops are tough to hit from far away. It's just too much bounce. Too much bounce, bro. But what material is it? Kango calls it Bermuda. I got two of them. I got it in white with the green logo. White hat's harder to pull off, though. That hat doesn't stink. Let's see how the white looks. White's just harder to pull off on a hat in general. That looks fire too. Dang! Woo! That's soccer turf. Don't be saying that, Keith. Don't be saying that. All right? Oh, Catch. Come on, Catch. Are you kidding me? A dish rag, he called it. What a dickhead. What a dickhead. A dish rag. Catch, fuck you, Catch. What a piece of shit comment. Yo, Catch, fuck you. Oh, that's classic. Oh, Catch, I love you, buddy. I know you. I like that Catch is honest in the chat, as always. I'm not a white hat guy either normally, but it does look kind of cool. I like the green logo. I'll say that. It's got that Kelly green logo. All right. It's got that Kelly green logo. Oh, Big Trag. Come on, Big Trag. Here's Fleming. Yo, the hairline is holding on like Ringo. It's in position, but it won't make the play. And it's funny you bring that up today. All right, let's take a look at the hairline. Yeah, it's not great, folks. You guys want to see something hilarious? Where's my phone? Let me show you guys this. This is hilarious. I might get rid of it soon. But if anybody has a great barber who can do something with my hair, that would be great in Philly area. So I put into Chat GPT a picture of myself, and I said, all right, get rid of my hair. I said, get rid of my hair. So this is the picture I submitted, all right? This is the picture I submitted. You ready for what Chat GPT gave me? There's your boy, Big Z. Bald, let's go. There's Chat GPT giving me the look at me being bald. All right. I'm ready, I think. I'm ready to go bald, baby. No, I'm going to look fine bald. Yeah, it did make my head big. I don't know. I can't tell if my head's going to be that big, but that's how ChatGPT made it look. All right. All right. Look at that, Joan. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Dank, are you baldy? He says, come home. Come home. Classic. Classic. All right. ZJ Brown, that's classic. Xander, you didn't talk about tonight's NFL game slacking. Hollywood, I'm not fucking slacking. Ain't nobody give a shit about tonight's NFL game. Who do you got? Who's tonight? Is it your stupid Niners? Is that why you're saying that? No, it's the Vikings and the Chargers. The shitty-ass Vikings with shitty-ass Carson Wentz and the Chargers who, Justin Herbert, I mean, the dude is so much talent. Let's call a spade a spade. But you got to put it all together. Like at some point, it's like, all right, dude, you got this talent. You got it all. You got the arm. You can throw. I see it. I'm not going to lie. I see the talent. But what point are you going to put it all together? At what point are you going to put it all together? Yeah, Drake May. I like Drake. Dude, Shooter, somebody was in here chirping. I'm like, I like Drake May. Oh, there he is. Hip hop. You exposed yourself, hip hop. Hip hop, you exposed yourself today. Not that you haven't exposed yourself before, but you ultra exposed yourself today. You exposed yourself. Drake May. Drake May isn't the only reason that a team can go to a Super Bowl, dumbass. It's a team game. Hip hop's like, Drake May versus Patrick Mahomes. Oh, dude. Yeah. Quarterback. No wonder you never can think of anything bad to say about Jalen Hurts. Oh, dude. Drake May can't go to the Super Bowl. Shut up, hip hop. You exposed yourself, hip hop. Uh-oh, here's Jeff. Jeff, I don't want this comment. Please, Jeff. Thank you for the super chat. I almost don't even want to read it, Jeff. He said, I understand about soccer. I hated it. My twin boys play soccer very well. Congrats on your twin boys. That's a beautiful blessing. I guarantee you'll change. Nobody disliked soccer more than I. So you're telling me my young boys are going to look me in the eyes and say, Dad, I want to play soccer. And the dad in me is going to be like, I can't tell them no. Is that what you're telling me, Jeff? The dad in me will say, I can't tell them no. Hate to see it, Jeff. Not real Philly. I don't think they are in all seriousness yet either, but I do like Drake May, and I think they have a solid team, and I love their coach, Mike Vrabel. You know, that typically makes for a good recipe. Now, they're still a couple pieces away, in my opinion, but yeah. Someone says hip-hop. What did hip-hop say? Let me find what he said. I bet you wouldn't say it to my face. Hip-hop, I don't give a fuck about you. You want to talk about sports to my face? I don't give a shit. I'm not hard to find, bro. I was on the parade float on Broad Street. I'm right outside the city. I'm not hard to find, hip-hop. You're some anonymous dude on the internet nobody fucking knows. I'm not hard to find, my friend. It's like, you remind me of all the Nimrods. Like some dude who was going at us yesterday on social media. And shout out to Flex and my boy Sig Lord for defending me and defending Jacob. But this dude, LJ, who constantly shits on Jacob and, oh, you're this and you're that. The guy's never been to Philly. He's never even stepped foot in the city of brotherly love. He's in Canada. How the fuck is a guy in Canada going to tell me, Flexen, who lives in Philly, and Sig Lord, who lives right outside of Philly, how to be fans of our team? Who the fuck are you? Listen, if you're not in Philly, that's okay. You can be a fan of the Eagles. But don't tell me how to root for my football team. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Okay? Fuck all the way. Oh! All right? You got to be kidding me. All right? HK Pitt, you were here for the parade. All right? I'm Reyes, another guy who tries to tell Philly fans how to be Philly fans. The guy's he exposed himself. He's never been to the city of brotherly love. He's never even been here. Never. I'm the biggest Eagle fan in the world. You didn't even go. They won the Super Bowl last year. Some call that a once-in-a-lifetime type of event. You didn't think about booking a flight for the parade or anything? You're a fake, M. Reyes. You're a fake. All right? You're a fake. I was out there, and if you would have talked shit, I would have walked up to you and found you. Hip-hop, if I saw you in person, we'd probably dap each other up and say what's up, like I did with 50 other Jacob fans that day. All right? Let's be real. You would dap me up and say, what's up, Zay? I hate some of your Eagles takes. It's not that serious. Some people about sports are crazy, man. All right? I know, Twiz. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. It's a beautiful cycle that never fails in society. It's the God's honest truth. It's the God's honest truth. Don't worry, hip-hop, you're not going to hip-hop, relax, okay? You're not going to confront. What are you going to do? Punch me in Philly because you didn't agree with all my football takes? Relax, people. We're talking about sports here. This is inconsequential. Somebody said to me, Zander's not a real fan, doesn't care. I'm like, no, you know what I don't care about? The outcome of a sports game. Think about this for a second. We're all fans. It's a hobby, all right? We love the game. We love it because, it brings us closer to our Philly, our hometown, our team, a sport we love, whatever the case may be. You know what I don't care about? Really care about. I'm talking about really care about. Shit that doesn't affect my family, my life, the real shit in life. It's sports. If they lose a game, I'll get upset. I mean, you get mad for a little bit, but it's inconsequential to real life. Let's call a spade a spade. Sports is inconsequential to real life. All right? Anybody who says, oh, I'm gonna fuck you up because you didn't like Jalen Hurts every single day of the week last week. Shut up, man. I mean, come on. Come on. Don't go so hard on hip-hop. M. Reyes says, I'm buying a plane ticket, going to Zander's house, and planting a fat Jalen Hurts flag in front of it. That'd be dope, M. Reyes. I'm good with that. I'm a Hurts fan. I'm a fan of the Eagles, bro. I want Hurts to succeed. If Hurts succeeds, the Eagles succeed. If the Eagles succeed, then, that helps my company. It helps my fandom. I obviously want to see the Eagles succeed, and I got no problem with that. Ray, you say that like I don't like Jalen Hurts. No, I hold to my expectations. If we talk about Jalen as an elite football player, as an elite quarterback, that comes with a set of expectations. If he doesn't reach expectations as a commentator on sports, I will say that. If he does, as he has many times, I will give him all the credit as I have. Try and keep up. Reyes. All right. I got my coffee in today, folks. All right. I got my coffee in today. Tony, what's up, my guy? What's up, Big Tony? Appreciate you, brother. Hip-hop has men all over the city. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. All right. Tommy T, only Philly fan. We're a classic bunch. We really are. All right. Nah, we don't want to ban anybody. We don't need to ban hip-hop. I like hip-hop. It's like Dabney. Dabney comes in here every day. He's like, oh, Philly media, good at Philly media. Nobody watches the show more than Dabney. The guy's here every day. I've never had a show in my life since I started hosting a year and a half ago or almost 2 years ago where Dabney wasn't here to comment. Philly media, go to Philly media. Haters are going to be haters. Blah, 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 blah. I've never had it. He's a fan. It's all good. Same with hip-hop. He's here every day. He's a fan. What happened to Easy Money? Was Easy Money the guy who used to talk up Matt Corral? Oh, shit. Only some Jacob OGs will remember that guy. Kyle, that's how you know you've been around here for a long time, my friend, and I appreciate you, Kyle. You guys remember Easy Money? Matt Corral, rocket arm season. That was so funny, man. That was so funny. Matt Corral. Cran, later, brother. Have a great day, Cran. I appreciate you, man. Go Birds, brother. Appreciate you being here today. All right. That was it, man. Rocket Arm Corral. Thank God you've had that coffee. The second coffee of the day today, Kimberly. I woke up today and I said, I like the Eagles. When there's a narrative against them, you overcorrect. Yesterday, I had a tough show. I was down and out. I did not deliver my best performance. Many were calling for the benching of Big Z for Tanner McManning. Okay? I said, I will not let this happen again. I will come back with a vengeance. I will come back strong and energized. I will be ready to go today. All right? So I woke up nice and early, 6 a.m., popped up, had a nice cup of coffee, and then I went at 7:15, 7:30, picked up another Dunkin'. I'm good to go. All right? And was good to go. All right? Oh, dirty air. You hating on the fur hat? Dude, come on. It's that Bermuda look. Yeah, who thinks I should go bald for the wedding next year? My fiance is like, just keep it till after the wedding. I'm like, why? It looks like shit. It looks like shit. I think I look better bald. I really do. Oh, come on, Keith. That's a fake news. Come on, dog. Thank you, Boulevard. Appreciate it, brother. All right. Not bald. That's because you're a chick. I know you're a chick. All the chicks say keep the hair. You know, it's funny. This is how it works. Ready? I did that thing in the chat GPT. I sent it to my family group chat. My dad, my brother, and my brother-in-law all say, looks banging, go bald. All the women, my 3 sisters, my mom, and my fiance, keep it till after the wedding. It's all the chicks. It's always the chicks. I'm talking to my brother. He's like, yeah, you look fireball, bro. Get rid of that hair. I'm like, bang it. Bang it. But it is what it is. All right. Get it. Never. Bird season. You got long locks. You got a lot of hair on the head. That's funny. That's funny. Send some my way. Big Z, driving your green C8. I might, Tony. I kind of want to make a move on it, Tony, but it's in the garage right now. The vet is in the garage for a little bit. Might be in there for a lot of bit. Although we might, do we have good weather this weekend? Because if we have good weather this weekend, I'll get it out and do a video on Saturday for ZK's garage. Let me check how the weather's supposed to be this weekend. 59 and sunny. That's good enough for me. I can rock with that. 59 and sunny. Could break out the vet this weekend and do a video for ZK's garage. Yeah, Dirty Air. I talked to him a little bit too about it. That's awesome, dude. I'm pumped for him. And I'm pumped for you too. That's dope, man. Dirty Air. Dirty Air, that was still one of the best things I did this year, man. That was still one of the best things I did this year. I was actually looking at the content. Dirty Air, you know what my problem was that day? I took too much content. I had like 2.5 hours of content. But I look at it all. It was such a great day, man. Such a great day. It really was. Are you wearing a Kango for your wedding? That's a good question, Dank. I don't think so. Holy shit. 10 inches long hair? That is crazy, brother. That is nuts. That is nuts. Those terry cloth Kangos lose their form quickly. Well, I got one of the where's the thing I have? Look. I'll do this. How's that? How's that? Look at that. Look at that. Whoop. That's how you keep your form, baby. That's how you keep the form, Theo. You see that? Folks, it also might be time to break out the Kango bucket again. Might be time to break out the legendary Kango bucket hat, baby. You can pull off this bucket hat. And as much as all you nerds like to say I cannot, I absolutely 100% can pull off this fire Kango bucket. All right? You guys know why I told that story of why I got this. I got 3 versions of this. It's because it looked just like my old dog. My dog who died last year, he was black and white, and he had stripes just like this. So I bought the hat in a bucket, in a regular hat, and then a Kango. Oh, I got the Stout U shirt on today. Got the Stout U shirt on. All right. All right, everybody. Fun show today, man. Fun show. Appreciate everybody for being here today, as always. All right. I might do a giveaway tomorrow for JAKIB merch if I get some new members. If not, we did our giveaway yesterday. I've decided Eduardo. Is Eduardo in here still? Is Eduardo in here? Eduardo, are you out there? Eduardo, are you out there? Eduardo, are you out there? Where's my boy Eduardo? He's here. Eduardo, I've decided something for you. You're getting the Dallas Goedert, okay? The Dallas Goedert jersey is yours. Congratulations to you, Eduardo. Goedert for Eduardo. This dude Eduardo's picking up a new Goedert jersey, baby. Enjoy the Goddard jersey. All right? Which is hilarious. I'm just kidding, Eduardo. I don't want it to sit in your closet and collect dust. I don't want it to collect dust. I don't like dust. I don't like dust collecting hats or jerseys. Excuse me. Dang, this bucket hat is fuego. Bro, I won't wear it. No, I'm not. I'm just messing with you, Eduardo, obviously. I'm just messing with you. All right? I'm just messing with you. I'm just kidding. I'm just having some fun, Eduardo. All right? All right, everybody, I got to run. I got some work to do. I got work to do. I got things to accomplish. I got places to be. I got to meet up with my boy Hip Hop so we can duke it out over our Jalen Hurts takes. All right? This one is no longer sold, my friend. This is now a rarefied air hat. That's why I bought all three of them. I bought my dad the same set because my dad loved my dog, man. My dad loved my dog. He loved my dog. I had the best dog. I know everybody says they had the best dog. I had the best dog. I'm telling you, man. My dog was unbelievable. My whole family was like crying when I lost my dog. He was an amazing fucking dog. And he was trained perfectly. Such a dude's dog too, man. He was such a good dog. But so I got my dad. He has this too, and he doesn't have this, but he also has the Kango version. I didn't get him the bucket. My dad's not a bucket guy. Dad's not a bucket guy. So, but has anybody not seen a pic of the dog? I'll show you how close it is. Oh, dang, where'd my pic go? That's right, it fell down. Fuck is that thing now? Look at all the hats. I got so many hats, dude. It's crazy. Damn, I don't have the pick in here anymore. Pick's outside. Because the Jalen Hurts picture fell. That's where I had it. I had it in the Jalen Hurts frame. And honestly, he looked just like my hat, though. He did. He looked just like my hat. I'll show you it real quick. Let me find a picture of him. Man, I love this dog. I missed him. He's great. He's a great pup, man. A great freaking pup. Look, there's him holding a Dunkin' cup. That's a Dunkin' toy. Oh, he was the best. There he is. See how he's black and white, and he's got the like he had the see how it like cuts across his face, the white? Literally looks just like this. Like just the way it looks. So I saw those Kangos and I'm like, oh, I'm buying those, man. When my pup passed. They'll be my memory of my boy. But shout out to him. All right. All right, guys. I love all you guys, man. I love all you guys. I appreciate all you guys as well. All right. You guys have been killing it on JAKIB. And I appreciate everybody for always showing out. Yeah, you see that? Hurts definitely should have won Player of the Week, but he didn't. I don't know why, honestly. So, all right, everybody. I love you guys. Appreciate everybody. All right. Hit the like button on the way out. Big Football Friday show tomorrow. Guys, real quick, promo. Cilio today is having on Kurt Warner. So we've talked about Kurt Warner's tweets a lot recently and kind of what he's talked about with Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni and the Eagles offense and all these different things. Sills, I sent to Sills about Kurt Warner. That's what I love about Sills. He's like, oh, I'll reach out to him. I'll get him on. Boom. Thursday. Now we're getting Kurt Warner on today. So, and assuming nothing changes in his schedule, we're going to have Kurt Warner on the show in the afternoon, which should be awesome because Kurt has such a great understanding of the game of football. He's got great takes on the Eagles offense about how he sees it and everything. He's talked about Shane Steichen a lot on his Twitter. So Kurt's going to be banging today. And then I forget who else Cilio said he had. He's got one more former player for the Giants. Fuck, what's his name? Can someone help me? Did anybody hear Sil say it yesterday? Who else did Sil say he had? Oscar. Is it Oscar? Oscar something? But all right, I forget the name, but Sills will tell me. But Kurt Warner today, so that should be good. All right, love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.